turns out that the man running Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, does not get along with two people in particular who will never work in the MCU again. So let's talk about Marvel Studios having a problem with Edward Norton and Joss Whedon. So once again, this is coming at us from the reign of Marvel Studios, and there is a lot of details in here that we've covered that are quite interesting. This is one of those that's really, really interesting when you look at the whole, history of MCU, Marvel Studios, and the few bad experiences that they've had working with people. The book goes on and says, and I quote, "If the Inhumans could be rehabilitated, apparently everyone in the MCU history was on Feige's call list, except Edward Norton, the franchise's first Bruce Banner, and Joss Whedon, whose Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters remain in limbo." End quote. So the book does have a little bit more. Essentially, Edward Norton, during the production of The Incredible Hulk, was not liked by anybody by the time the film was over. From the director to the co-stars, which we've talked about, to, of course, both studio heads at Universal and Marvel Studios, and then Disney. So everything ended up falling apart, and when they were trying to talk to him about joining the Avengers, his ego was so big, he wanted creative control of his character. He wanted to call all the shots with the Hulk. It was what he wanted to do. He was essentially pulling a Hulk Hogan, "that won't work for me, brother." Funny enough that both characters are called Hulk. Maybe that name is infected. Now, of course, Joss Whedon on the other side is the other part of this. And this is where things get a little crazy, because it's not just over all the accusations, but those are a part of it. But apparently Joss Whedon really wanted to work on TV. He wanted to do all these spin-offs, and he was, as we know, instrumental in building Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, he wanted to go off script with what Marvel Studios was planning, and he did, which made the MCU kind of have to take some other directions and notes, and they were embargoing characters. So what happened was, in the fallout that happened, since he was already signed on for Age of Ultron, they just played up. They were doing what they were gonna. They were running some parallel stories despite Marvel Studios not wanting to really feed them the info. But once he was out, that's when things just go in different directions. And we obviously see that. And we see how that affects everything going forward. So it was definitely a interesting revelation here that out of all the people ever in the MCU, even Hugo Weaving, it's like, nah, he's welcome back. Edgar Wright, yeah, bring him back if we can work something out. Joss Whedon and Edward Norton, though, no. Kick them to the curb, do not let them back in. Amazing.